If you believe his campaign, Donald Trump is not going to be appearing at Fox's Fox News, I should say, their Thursday Republican primary debate. Despite how much publicity he's gotten out of it and how he's, of course, been a ratings driver, he's not going to go because Megyn Kelly has been unfair to him in the past by reading him the tweets that he himself wrote. That's just going way too far. He's not going to stand for it, and so he's boycotting because Fox refused to get rid of Megyn Kelly. Although there's still time, they might capitulate. And so, of course, after that announcement, both sides, the Trump campaign and Fox News, are trying to get maximum political gain out of this. He has tweeted that he's not going to call Megyn Kelly a bimbo because that would be un-PC, but she's a bad journalist. Taking the high road there, Donald Trump. Fox News put out this statement. Donald Trump is refusing to debate 7 of his fellow presidential candidates on stage that night, which is near unprecedented, which I think we can both agree. We're not sure how Iowans are going to feel about him walking away from them at the last minute, but it should be clear to the American public by now that this is rooted in one thing. Megyn Kelly, whom he has viciously attacked since August and has now spent 4 days demanding be removed from the debate stage. Capitulating to politicians' ultimatums about a debate moderator violates all journalistic standards, as do threats. This is the last journalistic standard they refuse to violate at Fox News. In a call on Saturday with a Fox News executive, Trump's campaign manager stated that Megyn had had a rough couple of days after the last debate, and he would hate to have her go through that again. Lewandowski, that's the campaign manager, was warned not to level any more threats, but he continued to do so. We can't give in to terrorizations towards any of our employees. Trump is still welcome at Thursday night's debate and will be treated fairly, just as he has been during his 132 appearances on Fox News and Fox Business, but he can't dictate the moderators or the questions. By the way, make that 133 as of tonight when he's interviewed by O'Reilly, despite that he says, I don't need to make them rich. Oh, can I go on one of your other shows? And they admit they have put him on so fucking much.
Okay.
So supposedly he's not showing up.
First of all, the biggest downside of this story is that Fox News now gets to be show themselves as journalists.
And Megyn Kelly.
Right. They're not journalists. All they do is right-wing and Republican propaganda. So, but now Trump has been so, ridiculous against them. They get to pretend they have journalistic standards.
Yeah.
And in this case, they're right. He's wrong, right? And so, of course, Megyn Kelly can ask any questions she likes to Donald Trump, and the questions she asked were enormously unoffensive. Okay, so she asked about his quotes, and she didn't say, hey, does that make you a misogynist? Does that mean that you're part of the war on women? She said, is that going to hurt your campaign if it is perceived as such?
The way that he pitched the Ted Cruz eligibility argument. Are they going to attack you on this?
So now it's painted as if Fox News is fighting for journalism. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Now on to the main event, which is this move by Donald Trump. It is maybe the boldest move I've ever seen, okay, in a presidential race. Mm-hmm. Now, I know the argument you're going to make, and it is a good one, okay? So on the one side, you can say, well, man, that shows he's really strong. He's willing to not show up to a debate a couple of days before the most important vote, the Iowa caucus, because New Hampshire is definitely going to win. Iowa, it is not clear that he's going to win, right?
I saw a poll that he was within 2 points of Ted Cruz earlier today.
So for him to walk away from that is strength that I haven't seen, right? The counter argument that I expect John to make is, no, that's not strong at all. He's running away from Megyn Kelly, and he can't even, face the most reasonable question there is, and he's a coward.
Yeah, I think it's complicated. Look, it's a little bit different, I guess, to not go to a debate that's going to happen than it is to get debates to not happen. But there's some similarity, and I don't consider Hillary Clinton strong because she got her buddies to not set up more debates. I mean, it would be strong to go to the debate. That's what I think strength is. And a lot of people are saying that this was a masterstroke by Trump because he's going to be in the news, which is objectively true since we are talking about him right now. But if that's what he wanted, if he just wanted to get in the news again and not go to the debate, he could have made it about almost anything else. He could have just said, you know what, screw Fox News. They represent the political establishment, something PC culture, something Muslims. Just say that. Instead, he made it about Megyn Kelly. And aside from some of his supporters who think, oh, well, she's a woman, I hate women, so I hate her, and that's why she's getting all these tweets calling her the C word and shit today. Everybody else looking at this knows he's scared of her standing up to him. And not even in a particularly strong way. She just read some of his tweets. But that now represents a gigantic dragon of an opponent to him. And so he looks like such a little pathetic wussy. And it lets Ted Cruz sell hats that say, "Make Trump debate again." And a million jokes. I mean, I've been having so much fun tweeting about this for the past day since it happened. It makes him look like a laughingstock that he can't stand up to Megyn Kelly. I mean, Fox, a spokesperson for Fox put out this statement, which I've never seen, I don't think, a channel actually put out about a candidate. "We learned from a secret back channel that the Ayatollah and Putin both intend to treat Donald Trump unfairly when they meet with him if he becomes president. A nefarious source tells us that Trump has his own secret plan to replace the cabinet with his Twitter followers to see if he should even go to those meetings."
Now, let me explain the chronology of that. They put that statement out before Trump canceled. He's complaining.
Well, he's been talking about it for days, and he hasn't actually canceled anything. He could 100% still show up. I think there's a very good chance that he still will. He's consistently, throughout his books about business dealings and in his recent comments about Iran, he always talks about how you can't just threaten to leave the room. You have to leave the room. Let them stew for a little while, and then they'll call you back. That's all he's doing. He hasn't skipped the debate until the debate's over. Until then, he could still show up. And we know this is a motherfucker who loves being on TV. And so my money is still on him showing up. I am willing to be proven wrong because I have almost no shame at this point. But I think that there's still a very good chance that he shows up at that debate.
Well, there could be a fun WWE moment when, "Oh no, here comes Donald Trump," out of the hallway with a 2x4.
Takes a chair to him.
Okay. So, but the reason I was telling you about the chronology is because, so they're in a war back and forth.
Yes.
Fox News puts out a statement saying, "Hey, are you going to be scared of the Ayatollah and Putin?" After that, Trump goes, "That's it, I'm not coming." Okay. Now, some have said, well, Fox crossed the line first, so Trump did the right thing. I think that's crazy talk. No. Well, they're both enormous line crossers. Let's just be honest about that, right? But in this case, Trump started the war. Trump continued the war. He is the aggressor in this case. And look, yes, he might still show up. That is a very Trump
He's threatened
move.
to boycott multiple other debates.
Yeah, and he changes his mind willy-nilly, mainly based on whatever's going to get more attention at that moment, right? So right now it's getting a lot of attention to say he's not showing up, and right before it might get more attention to show up, right?
And oh, a surprise, all of a sudden he shows up. We didn't think he was going to.
Right. So look, it's not like he's a rocket scientist, but he does have one thing down, which is the art of, not the deal, the art of getting attention in that moment, right? There's no one better at it than Donald Trump. So this could go one of two ways. He maybe, and this has never happened, everybody thinks it's going to happen, and it still hasn't happened, he might have trumped a shark. So, you know, he comes in, and he might have, in his arrogance, he was just saying the other day, I could shoot somebody dead on Fifth Avenue, and my supporters still wouldn't care. So in that, you know, intoxication of confidence, he might have gone too far, and people will look at it like John does. Well, that's a real wuss move to be so scared of in their way of thinking, a girl that you had to,
a mere woman,
right? That you had to run away, and now, you know, you won't even show up to debate the guys, and it might cost them. It might be the final thing the thing that actually costs them, or it can go completely the other way, and I don't know which way it's going to go. In the beginning, I thought it was crazy. It's his election to win. I wouldn't have taken a risk like this, and I'm a huge risk taker, right? But then I heard he said, oh, well, maybe I'll go on another network at that time, and I'll put on something for veterans and the wounded warriors and raise money for them. And then he said, maybe I'll debate Cruz one-on-one.
He brings up the wounded warriors every time he talks.
I know, but it can work. If he draws even half the audience to himself, by himself, while helping veterans, God damn, that might work again. And I'll tell you this, if Cruz agreed to it and he did a one-on-one with Cruz, he would draw 80% of the audience.
Which would be a win for Cruz as well.
Whichever way this gambit works out, and right now I am unclear as to how it's going to work out. But if he wins this gambit, it's over. Trump's the nominee, okay? And I'll tell you why. It's not because he defeated the other contestants. Look, we've turned this into a reality show for, you know, for good, right? The other guys that are running for president, no. It'll be because he defeated Fox News. And if you can defeat Fox News on the right, there ain't nothing that can stop
Yeah.
you. So this, I think, will be determinative. However Thursday night goes, if Trump comes out ahead on it, it's over. It's over. Trump's the nominee.
That's possible.
Okay. So, by the way, we are covering it live on Thursday. Okay. tytnetwork.com/live. Okay. tytnetwork.com/live. That's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to start pregame. And boy, do we need a pregame on this one, because we're going to see what Trump's going to do a half an hour before the debate shows up. We'll do a play-by-play during the debate. And at the end, we'll do a postgame, tell you who won, who lost.
Yeah.
And obviously, just like he wants, Trump looms large over the event, whether he's there or even if he isn't there.
Yeah.